records that I missed, or I had, or were records that were really important to me through my time at university, which is really where I listen to most of my records. I mean, I was DJing prior to university, but I really got into records heavily at university, and soon after university. Well, no, not really, but anyway. So a lot of these records are records I picked up when I was at university, or they're duplicate records, or the records that should have been in the DJ one, or anyway. So this was a kind of Saturday afternoon record for me, which I would just put on and just play, you know. Uh, Oxygen, just, yeah. I just put it on, and it was very much my early childhood in some regard, and that was when he was very popular. But this was actually recorded before I was born, so a kind of transition of life. But yeah, a favourite for a Saturday afternoon. This is a duplicate record. I genuine duplicate records. It also is an absolute classic. I have 3 copies of this. I don't remember actually DJing with it. I mean, She Drives Me Crazy would be wonderful to do that with. I'm Not the Man I Used to Be, I think. Yeah. Good Thing. I don't know. I don't think I ever used these to DJ with, but they're just great, great songs. This is another duplicate record. In fact, I've got 2 of them here. Australian classic. Where Are You Gonna Run To Now is my favourite. I don't even know if it's on this one. Which one is it? Just political. Yeah, it's this one is Where You're Gonna Run To Now. But this is a double record. So, was it Take Me? Where Are You Gonna Run? Yeah, this is it. Take me, wake me, tell me it's a dream. I've got a B-52 on my TV screen and a man with a tie pointing to the sky. Where you going to run to now? If you don't fight, you lose. This is just, I don't even know what you want to call it. It's not folk rock, it's just good Australian music of the 1970s and early 80s. And yeah, a favourite of mine DJing, 81 on this one, 78 on this one. So yeah. Love to take little samples, particularly live. Just classic Australian music. This one I picked up in Malaysia at the same time that I got the Public Enemy, You're Gonna Get Yours, and it was a favourite of mine as well. It's a sample, it's a DJ, it's everything. I had never had any inkling of Billy Paul prior to this. Let me read this. It has to be read. A star is someone very special, talented, warm, human, and personal, and an outstanding performer. In the lineup of stars, Billy Paul was rejected because he is super warm, superhuman, super personal, and a super performer. In short, Billy Paul is a superstar. If you haven't discovered him yet, you will whenever you listen to this album, especially the selection, Me and Mrs. Jones. And don't forget, I told you so. Louis Williams, WDAS radio. I don't actually like Me and Mrs. Jones. Brown Baby is wonderful. It's Too Late. I mean, Me and Mrs. Jones is okay. Am I Black Enough for You? What else? Let's Stay Together. Yeah, I'm Not Black Enough for You. Just has great resonant clavichord. I understand that this was pretty mainstream at its time. It got absolutely no play in Australia, and when I would DJ this in Australia, no one would ever know what it was, and they would just absolutely love it. So this was a standard, and I even lent this to friends so they could DJ it. In particular, Am I Black Enough for You? I mean, Brown Baby is also nice, but yeah, Am I Black Enough for You? You got a good beat behind that as well. Do a little scratching over the top. It's untouchable. This is another multiple record. This is another one that I just love. I mean, it's kitsch. It's everything but, good vibrations in my room. Salute John B. Yeah, Heroes and Villains, Surfer Girl, California Girls, Barbara Ann. People always tease me because my name Barbara Lay, but yes, in the end I ended up with a California Girl. clearly a record that did a lot of subliminal programming to me in my youth, my misspent youth. It's it's you got to have at least one of these in your collection. Another favorite of mine. What can I say? When I was a little bit of boy, my mother gave me a cute little toy. Silver bells hanging on a string. If you don't know what that's a reference to, you've got to get this album. Just beautiful. This is him in London, I think. Yeah, London Chuck Berry Sessions. Just a classic record. This is a $2 record. No. This is 99. $9.99. John Lennon is really absent from my records here. I think I might have another John Lennon in here. Double Fantasy. I'm all over the place with John Lennon. I went to the Dakota Building last year, maybe the year before, when I went to New York. I'd avoided it up until that point. My view is, if you're a John Lennon fan, don't go to the Dakota Building. It really kind of ruined it for me. I used to play John Lennon multiple times per week. Having been to the Dakota Building, no, not so much anymore. This was obviously his last album, and just, not musically amazing, but certainly says a lot of interesting things. And Watching the Wheels, Dear Yoko, Beautiful Boy, a lot of good stuff there. This is an Australian classic, a DJ must-have. This is the best of Daddy Cool, but really the only one you need is Eagle Rock. Eagle Rock has probably the most driving and interesting intro, and really it's slightly offbeat in parts, so you can't really mix it too well. But this is just, it's the same on the front as just the back. But yeah, this is just like definitional Australian. What is it, 1970? 1960 something? I don't know, 1970. It might even be later, I think. It was a concept band, 1971. So, yeah, but Eagle Rock, I think, just for sample fun scratching alone. And a number of early, late 80s, early 90s Australian hip-hop groups used Eagle Rock extensively. Just the first part, now listen to the sound, used very heavily. It's a must-have. This is another multiple. Everyone seemed to own this one for good reason. Cat Stephen, T for the Tillerman. Just so many good songs on here. And yeah, I think I own 3 copies of this. This is a New Zealand one. I think this is my father's copy, perhaps. But yeah. I mentioned Dire Straits. I mentioned everyone has to own this. Or I think got 3 or 4 copies of it. Dire Straits, Brothers in Arms. Again, defining, Money for Nothing, Walk of Life, So Far Away, Why Worry, Right Across the River. Just definitional instrumental stuff, and obviously concluding with Brothers in Arms. Yeah. A favourite of mine, sampling. I don't even know, I should even mention what I'd sample from this in particular. What is it called? Tradition, yeah. I would sample from pieces of tradition, let's just say that. You can do things with certain parts of it which are worth doing. But yeah, this is a classic album, and one that I would sample from very heavily. Mainly actually just Tradition. I think Tradition was probably the one that I sampled from. If I Were a Rich Man was also fun. But yeah, Tradition had so many great non-music, just words where you could sample it. This is a childhood favourite of mine as well. Tony the Tuba, also The Young Person's Guide to the Orchestra. It's got Gulliver's Travels on the back. I must have. This is probably my favourite John Lennon album. Again, multiple copies of this one. Plastic Ono Band, his first real offering after the Beatles. I love the effect of this where you zoom in really close and come back. And anyway. So, yeah, a favourite record of mine. My original one of this, I was walking, my father gave me his copy took at university, and it slid out of plastic onto the road. I still kept it, and it actually was pretty undamaged, and also had multiple other copies. So yeah, a favorite. This one I picked up in Geneva, and this has got a lot of really amazing and fun stuff on it. And if you ever want just a driving set of beats and some really interesting, look, the Germans and the Swiss and the French, they all have their own hip hop, and it's all really good. And I have lots of it in my collection, and I really should have brought it out, but this just represents a large portion of that. Well, actually, a portion of that, in terms of being really good. Final record, a favorite of mine. Look, Public Enemy, Fear of Black Planet, NWA, Straight Up Compton, two untouchable albums. I don't think I've ever owned either of them on vinyl. The vinyl that I've had is this one, Ice-T, Original Gangster, The Tower, Escape from the Killing Fields, New Jack Hustler, Original Gangster, Fried Chicken, Body Count. Just a great album. I mean, his earlier stuff is good too. His later stuff is more reasonable, but this was part of what was going to be a list of things that kept me sane through university. But I've covered so many of the other albums through this that I just want to put this one out there. So it concludes, I think, the record digging so far. So if you like this, leave comments, criticisms. I think in particular maybe the sampling one might get the most commentary. Who knows, or at least cease and desists. But yeah, certainly it's been fun doing this. This is about an eighth of my record collection. So I've been able to pull a lot out, and obviously all the Magical Mystery Tours and things like that. But this has been really fun. It's going to go, unfortunately, a large portion of it back into storage. My primary means of consuming music currently is, unfortunately, the dreaded MP3s. Well, actually not that. It's the dreaded iTunes and occasionally the dreaded, what is it called? Logic Pro, where most of my music comes from. But yeah, these certainly very instrumental, very impactful. It's been a pleasure sharing a small portion of my collection with you this evening. Tom Bubbly in San Jose, signing out.